Sure or not?
I think in my little handout here, Eritrea gained its independence in 1993.
Formally.
Formally.
Yeah.
From Ethiopia.
Not from Ethiopia. Not from Ethiopia.
All right.
Okay.
I would like to understand. I would like to understand.
Okay.
What it is that seems to have altered the stance of the Ethiopian government towards Eritrea.
It happened that we've been discussing this matter a few minutes ago. I mean, number one, Eritrea did not get its independence from Ethiopia at all. I mean, we had our just cause. We fought for a long time, for almost 3 decades, probably half a century. And when 91 came, we said, we're postponing the unilateral declaration of independence to go through a legitimate political process to assure the international community and be assured that we have exercised this right through a referendum. Then people were saying, well, a referendum could be expedited if the Ethiopian government agrees to the referendum process. We said no, not at all. We are not asking for the blessing of the Ethiopian government or anybody else for that matter. We would like to exercise this right through a referendum, and we would like the international community to come help us organize and witness the desire or the wish of our population. No one was invited to offer Eritrea independence in a silver platter, not at all. We rejected that all the way. We waited for 2 years after 1991, 1993, a referendum, fair and free choice of the population was expressed through that referendum. We got our independence. No one gave us our independence. We did not get our independence from anyone, not Ethiopia, not Somalia, not Sudan, or even the international community. The international community was there to witness an exercise of free choice of the Eritrean people, which culminated to the independence of this small country. And now we see, I have tried to briefly explain why this government in Ethiopia has trapped itself into a quagmire. People are speculating. Why is this government now changing course? Why this border conflict? Wasn't there an alliance for the last 25 years? Haven't you worked together, sacrificed together? Weren't you comrades in arms? Why this problem now? It's actually a question that has puzzled me for so long, and I have not found one clear answer to this matter now. Why? Has the government in Addis Ababa come up with its own claims on what it considers sovereign Ethiopian territory? Have they come with legal agreements or treaties that define the borders between Eritrea and Ethiopia? Have they come up with maps to tell us that they have a new map of Ethiopia? Not at all. I was telling Professor Ephraim that while we were young, we were provided with exercise books with 2 landmarks. One was the photograph of Emperor Haile Selassie, and the other thing was the map of Ethiopia. The map of Ethiopia, which clearly outlined the borders between Eritrea and Ethiopia. At the same time, it outlined the borders of administrative regions in Ethiopia, 13 or 14. This never altered. This map is in the minds of everybody who has gone through the last 2 generations in Ethiopia and Eritrea. What has changed? Nothing has changed. Haile Selassie's government has never changed maps, not at all. In fact, they consolidated the colonial treaties by the maps produced with the assistance of mapping missions from this nation and from other countries. Mengistu came to ally himself with the former Soviet Union and produced maps and maps and maps, but never altered the borders between Eritrea and Ethiopia. What's new? What is the agenda of this government? We're still asking this simple question. If there are border claims on the part of this group in authority in Ethiopia, we'll have to be told one day that the map of Ethiopia is outlined in a manner to either agree or not agree with the internationally established boundaries and the colonial treaty signed early in this century. Nothing of that sort has come up. And what's this government up to? What is the problem? That still is a puzzle. The problem to me is this is a very small group. When it was created in 1975, it never had any agenda for Ethiopia at all. Never. We had to go through a struggle of about 5 or 10 years to convince these people that there is nothing like independence of Tigray. Tigray as a region could not be independent. One can have his own grandiose ideas about his own territory, his own particular region, but that was not realistic. And we had to finally arrive at a point where we convinced them that this is not tenable. They shifted, and well, then again, they were more internationalistic than our perceived understanding of their policies. Well, no problem. We lived with that. We lived with a number of other things. We wanted to see Ethiopia allow its populations to participate in what actually means a new Ethiopia. 1991 came, Mengistu was ousted. These people began redrawing borders. Yes, within the context of federal Ethiopia and the federal constitution, they had the full right, the ultimate right, and probably the supreme right to redraw administrative boundaries. They did their best to increase or include chunks from a number of other provinces into what they conceived to be Tigray as one unique region in Ethiopia. The mistake they made was when they began redrawing international boundaries. That's where they were trapped, and that's what we call the quagmire. Now they can't get out of that quagmire, they can't extricate themselves out of the cut. They will have to find an explanation for this act of violation. Because it cannot be justified, they're living in a situation of obsession or chain reaction where a mistake is resolved or attempted to be solved by another mistake. A third mistake comes to solve the 2 previous mistakes. That kind of vicious circle they live in, and that might be an explanation on what these people are up to. But again, is that a persuasive explanation of what they are up to justify the loss of tens of thousands of lives, both from Eritrea and Ethiopia, to tell us at the end of the day that they were mistaken and they had a misperception about their borders? God knows what finally we'll find out, but we will patiently pursue our policy of dialogue. We'll work with the international community to find a peaceful solution to the problem. We are against the war. We will try to avoid war, even though we have a legitimate right to self-defense. But again, we find this war a senseless war.